Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning has no shortage of big names behind it, with the likes of Ken Rolston, Kurt Schilling, Todd McFarlane, and Ari Salvatore involved in mapping out its grand scope. The result is a sprawling game that almost defies you to explore every inch of it. Is 38 Studios pitching a no-hitter with its debut RPG, or should the upstart developer call for a forfeit?
I intend to have that prize.
At Reckoning's outset, you wake up from the dead amidst a gruesome pile of bodies, just another anonymous corpse. In the grip of amnesia, you soon learn that a mystic artifact called the Well of Souls is responsible for your resurrection, and the hints are heavy that your eventual fate, or lack thereof, is somehow tied up with it. Unlike other beings in the world of Amalur, your destiny isn't predetermined, which means that you have a pivotal role to play in the heavy events ahead. Before long, you find yourself embroiled in a war for the very fate of the mortal world.
Dead's dead. And be thankful for that. All we've seen.
As is often the case with these sorts of games, it's easy for the key narrative threads to get lost among all the distractions competing with them, and Reckoning goes out of its way to keep you well distracted. Amidst all the filler quest banality, however, is an intriguing lore and backstory that manages to successfully suffuse the world with character in spite of it all. Easy as it is to lose sight of, the story is full of surprising turns, setting the stage for a world that you'll likely want to see more of.
Battle is lost! Run, fools! Run!
There's little we can do to defend ourselves.
The moment you start Reckoning in earnest, it becomes obvious that there's a whole lot of MMO in its DNA. Quests abound, running the gamut from humdrum MMO fare to lengthier chains steeped in gravity and lore, and the game does its best to make sure you engage them. Stepping into a town results in your minimap exploding with enticing exclamation marks, and as you explore, the locations of quest objectives tauntingly goad in every possible direction. However urgent the main story might feel at any given moment, Reckoning strives to tempt you off path. The world is big, though gradually compressed thanks to your ability to fast travel, and if you follow too many tangential threads, don't be surprised if you end up dauntingly far from where you started out. If you make a beeline for the story quests, you'll likely be done with the game in about 20 hours. Indulge in the copious side activities, though, and you'll be at it for very many more.
Now the beast slumbers guarded by the vines and weeds of Gorgoath. But all is not lost.
Loot is the logical byproduct of this sort of lengthy adventure, so expect to garner absurd quantities of it. You'll find plenty of it on the bodies of slain monsters, and probably just as much simply strewn about the world, locked within chests, hidden under rocks and logs, or buried inside wells. In Reckoning, it's rare to travel a couple of minutes without finding something, especially if you've invested in the right skills. The net effect is that loot starts to lose its luster after a while, especially once your bags are full. All too often we found ourselves indiscriminately selling off or dismantling for parts vast hordes of even rare and epic quality treasure simply because it wasn't in any meaningful way better than the stuff we were already using. In our experience, the stuff crafted via the blacksmithing skill or gear for sale at vendors usually far outstripped the stuff we found. The inclusion of loot that doesn't rely solely on its statistical attributes to distinguish itself would have helped a great deal.
Why must we fight a war that you know we will not win?
At least you'll have no shortage of fodder to engage in your crafting endeavors. Reckoning's streamlined selection of skills allows for the building of weapons, armor, potions, and gems to upgrade your gear with, and the simple system is just fiddly enough to feel empowering and encourage experimentation. Investing points in crafting skills typically just increases the complexity of the items you create, so even if you don't develop, say, alchemy, you'll still be able to brew useful potions with the reams of herbs you'll surely be carrying. Like most of its underlying systems, the crafting in Reckoning is ultimately in service of the combat, and this is where the game most earnestly deviates from the stuffiest RPG tropes. Reckoning tries its best to echo the flashy, gratuitous combat of games like God of War, and it succeeds at capturing their essence, if not their depth. Even a wholly magic-focused character can become very good at channeling Kratos. You'll just do it with a staff or a set of bladed chakrams instead of a sword. Melee combat manages to provide a good deal of variety without being too complex. It utilizes a system based on timing rather than complex button inputs to enable your various maneuvers and combos, which cover all the ground you'd expect from mid-air juggles and charges to parries and ripostes. As you kill stuff, you'll even charge a meter that, once activated, makes your attacks extra powerful and allows you to perform grisly QuickTime finishers for bonus experience. It's all very familiar territory in short. What's really surprising is how far Reckoning bends over backwards to enable custom quirky character builds. Classes aren't set in stone. Instead, you allocate points into 3 distinct ability trees every time you level, mixing and matching as you desire. Furthermore, spreading your points along different configurations unlocks various Destiny archetypes that provide statistic bonuses meant to reinforce different builds, with seemingly even the oddest hybrid combinations accounted for. There are multitudes of viable paths for even the most commonplace archetypes, the sword-wielding wizard for instance, and the ability to easily respec your character cracks the possibilities wide open.
This is our chance, before they can regain control of the creature! Ah!
As you'd expect, the Might Tree focuses on brawny melee, the Finesse Tree on stealthy assassination, and the Sorcery Tree on room-clearing magic. Once you start to advance in level, your power gets truly stupendous, frequently rendering even the most monumental encounters trivial. At least on normal difficulty, Reckoning isn't an incredibly hard game to begin with. When you die, it'll most often feel like it was due mainly to negligence. But once your character is employing the highest level abilities at its disposal, it's too easy to feel ludicrously invincible. Not even the bosses, which aren't too inspiring to begin with, stand a chance.
Not exactly the heroes of legend, but you're a welcome sight nonetheless.
Though its world exhibits a good deal of charm and character, Reckoning won't be getting by on its looks. There are far too many weird, crude character and monster models marring the experience, many of which just don't seem to jibe with the fantastical storybook tone. It's a shame, as this is a genuinely cool fantasy world. The voice work is well done, there's a good bit of it, though it's unfortunate that the protagonist wasn't allowed to exude more personality. The game's performance can take a dip when things get too crazy, like when the meteors and tempests are flaring, which can be a common occurrence depending on your character. And we encountered an infrequent yet aggravating bug where the camera would unmoor itself and seem to hover beneath the surface of the world.
Well, that's it for you then. Better luck next time.
Thank the gods for sending you to us. This is a glorious day.
Though it leans a little too heavily on well-trod genre conventions, there's no denying that Reckoning has a whole lot to offer in terms of sheer breadth. Similarly, though the challenge tapers off dramatically toward the end, its combat is welcoming, gratifying, and hypnotic. There's been no shortage lately of all-consuming RPGs that span dozens upon dozens of hours. If you've got room on your plate for one more, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is definitely worth a look.